Hey guys, it's Ryan here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're going to be doing our wrap-up video for the holidays, which was the 15th of December all the way to the 1st. And I'll also be doing kind of an update for the channel for 2024. It's not really about the channel necessarily, it's more about myself and my life, just kind of because ultimately this is a way for me to catalog my own experiences. I do want to add this small element of like self-reflective vlogging to it, so we'll do a little bit of that here at the beginning, but if you're not interested in hearing about my personal life, feel free to skip over to the wrap-up section. So, yeah. Anyway, so 2024 started, and it's been nice. In terms of like things that are important for the channel that are not about my personal life, the the wrap-up video will be followed by a haul video, and those will encompass basically everything I got from the 15th of December, which is when I put up my wrap-up video, all the way to the 1st of January. So there's going to be kind of this limbo area between the 1st of January and the 10th, because the 10th is when I'll start uploading content again. So this video is being recorded on the 5th, but it will be up on the 10th, right? I think. And that limbo space will be covered in my TBR video for January, which should come out sometime after the 10th, but before the 15th. And it will encompass kind of a wrap-up section for, or like a kind of a talking about what I read between the 1st and the 10th. And will also include a kind of TBR video for the rest of January, right? So if you're interested in what I read after the 1st, feel free to go watch that video when it comes out. But that's basically all of that. I do have a giveaway going on that has not been as successful as I wanted it to be. And I think that's because I vastly overestimated the amount of people that are interested in Tarzan, in Edgar Rice Burroughs, and in art books for Joe Jusko. Specifically in art books of Joe Jusko that only deal with Tarzan. So, it kind of sucks. I was really expecting that to be a kind of special big video that would help me grow, but it wasn't really it didn't end up being what I expected it to be, so that kind of sucks, but it is what it is. It's not really that big of a problem. I will try to do some more boosting of it, try to see if someone actually comments and lets me know that they want the book, because so far I've not had that opportunity yet. No one has actually told me, hey, I want this book, please give it to me. And I made it pretty clear that you had to leave a comment there, so I guess no one has wanted it, which is fine. I guess I'll just keep extending the video length, or sorry, the length of time that the contest goes on for, because I did promise the company that I would do it, right? So we'll see how that goes. In terms of my personal life, though, now moving on. So I graduated last December. It was pretty nice. It was great. My mom managed to get her mom, my grandma, to come up to the States. She stayed with my mom and my sister and my dad for about a week. Then they came up to Dallas from Houston, and they brought my grandma along with them. It was kind of a whirlwind kind of situation, where my grandma was only really in Dallas for 2 or 3 days, and then we came back down. So to her, it kind of felt really crazy. She was like, I have no clue where the fuck I am, but my grandson is graduating, so nice. But for me, it was a really special moment. It was kind of nice. I would have liked to have all of my other grandparents here, but it wasn't really in the cards. My grandpa, my dad's dad, who's the only one left alive on that side, had some medical issues before, and my dad didn't really plan it, so it wasn't like feasible to get him up here, because they live in Mexico, right? And my mom's dad is someone we don't talk to because of like family issues, right? So I mean, I don't really have an interest in him having been to my graduation, but it would have been nice to have at least my dad's dad, right? So yeah, but it's not really like a problem. Like, it's fine. I didn't really have an issue with it, but since I had one of my grandparents, I would have liked to have the other one as well. But it is what it is. It's kind of just kind of like the luck of a draw, and also kind of a reality of just being an immigrant kid sometimes. So, you know, whatever. It's it's not that big a deal. But it was nice to have my grandma there. It's also nice to finally graduate. For me, it's a really kind of nice achievement. I wasn't really like emotional because it's not really something super important for the engineering students at my school. Um, so it wasn't like that big of a deal to me emotionally in terms of like, oh God, I managed to accomplish this. It was more so a big deal emotionally because I was one of those kids that was really successful in high school with minimal effort. And then moving on to university, it was basically the opposite. I was very unsuccessful for a long time because I had never learned to study properly, right? So it was nice to graduate because it showed, hey, you persevered. This is a situation that you managed to overcome, right? And so having moments like that are really meaningful. So I found that to be very special. And my dad was also really proud of me. It was nice to see him so emotional. He rarely is. He's not like an unemotional person, but he's not someone that really cries all that much. I mean, I've only ever seen him cry like maybe once or twice, and he cried at my graduation. So that was really special because it's like, oh man, you know, you're going to make me cry by you crying. But thankfully I managed to save that off. And it was just a really nice kind of situation. I really am happy that I graduated. I'm really excited to start my MBA program at the same university here in January. So technically, I guess my university's studies have not ended, but they're kind of different now. So moving on from engineering to a business degree is going to be kind of interesting. It might be rougher than I'm expecting it to be, but fundamentally, I think it'll be a lot easier than I'm used to. So that's pretty nice. That's going to be a good kind of break for me. And it also allows me to have much more time to find a job. So that's also pretty good. But that's it for my personal stuff in that sense. Otherwise, I had a really nice Christmas and a really nice New Year. It wasn't like super exciting because my family that came up to Texas this time didn't. It wasn't like all of them. Like it wasn't my mom's two brothers. It was only one of them this time, plus my grandma. And my grandma's kind of getting old and crotchety, so she's not as fun to be around as she used to be when she was younger. But it was still nice, and it was pretty relaxing, pretty quiet, and I was pretty happy with that. It was nice. We made some turkey. I made some pecan pie. It was awesome. It was really delicious. And you know, overall, we had a good time. Basically, the most memorable day that we had together was this day we decided to go to Austin. So we went to Austin. We went past Austin to this place called Driftwood, Texas. They have this really nice barbecue place there called Salt Lake. We went there. It was really delicious food. They have this really awesome coleslaw salad that isn't really what you would think coleslaw is usually. It was kind of like this like vinegar and sesame oil salad that was really awesome. It was really delicious. And then this really awesome peach cobbler there. So that was awesome. Then we went to this place called San Marcos, which is a small town in between San Antonio and Austin. And it's basically the only relevant thing there is this giant outlet mall that is really, really big. And it's really well known for North Mexican people. So we went there. It was nice. I don't really shop all that much, so I wasn't really all that interested. But I took my iPad with me, so I was able to read some comic books there while my cousins shop, because basically the only reason my cousins come to the US is because shopping here is a lot cheaper, even with the conversion rate that you have to go through from pesos to dollars, which is 18 pesos to $1, which is pretty expensive. And even then, it's still cheaper to shop here than it is over there because of sales and stuff like that. So they basically only come here to shop, and they were really able to do that because my mom is very willing to take them wherever they want, right? So that's pretty cool. And then to top that day off, after the kind of relatively boring stuff, is we went to Austin for real this time. We managed to go to this place called Gerdo's, and basically it's gourmet donuts. But some of the donut options they had there were actually hamburgers, where the buns were replaced with donuts. So it was like a crazy, like only in Texas, only if you're really high, like would you come up with this kind of food idea that actually happened to be really, really delicious. So it was awesome. I loved the burger that I ate there. I also loved the actual dessert donut that I had there. It was really nice. Gave me a shitty, insane heartburn, but it was awesome. It was really worth it. And overall, I really had a good time. So it was nice to kind of get away from content creation I was kind of getting antsy though. I was like, oh, there's a lot of things that I want to do. There's a lot of things that I should have made videos for already. But I managed to kind of avoid that mostly. It was just kind of at the beginning, I was like, oh, I haven't really done a video properly in a while. It would be nice to do one. But I kind of got away from that. But now that it's, you know, the 5th of January, I am kind of ramping up to kind of get around to getting back to content creation, which is what this is. So, yeah, so that's basically my update for the channel and for my personal life. So let's move on to the wrap up here. I didn't really read that much, actually. Well, I mean, I read quite a bit. I think it's a lot. But I ended up not reading too many of the things that I brought with me, which kind of sucks. I actually ended up reading a lot of fan fiction and a lot of just kind of articles on my phone. I don't know why. I just really wasn't feeling like reading big novels. So I read some comic books, some manga, and I read a bunch of fan fiction. And I don't really talk about the fan fiction that I read, so I'm not going to mention it anymore. But I did watch some TV, a little bit of TV, not too much. And now let's actually talk about it, right? So, in terms of the watch list, what I watched all of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, the first movie. It's pretty nice. I actually ended up having to watch this basically twice. The first time we watched it, but we all kind of fell asleep, so we had to watch it again. And I really enjoyed this movie. To me, it's a classic Christmas movie, mostly because growing up, we would watch the Harry Potter movies during Christmas. Or during Thanksgiving mostly, but you know, Christmas and Thanksgiving to me are basically the same thing, so it is what it is. But yeah, it was great. We also watched the second one, The Chamber of Secrets. It was pretty good as well. I really enjoyed them. I don't know, I just really enjoy the Harry Potter movies. I know there's just problems with J.K. Rowling, and I mention it all the time, but we already own them, so I don't really feel bad about enjoying them, right? So yeah, and then in terms of, you know, media, you know, movies and TV and stuff, I watched some episodes of Suits. So my sister finally was convinced by my cousins to give Suits a try after I've been telling her to watch it for years and years. She finally listened to my cousins and she started watching it, and I watched some episodes with her. And man, Suits is phenomenal. Like, the start of the series is awesome. I really like Mike and Harvey and Lewis and Jessica and what's the girl? The paralegal girl, I can't remember her name, but I really enjoy all of the characters. I love Donna specifically. Donna is so gorgeous. I don't know, I just really love these characters, and I like their plot lines. So yeah, overall, good stuff that I watched. It wasn't too much, honestly. Like I said, we were kind of at the mall most of the time, and when we weren't at the mall, we were downstairs chatting and eating. So I didn't really get too much of a chance to read much or watch too much TV, so it is what it is. But yeah, moving on to books though. So digital wise, I did start reading Jungle King. I got about 20 something ish % through Jungle King, and Jungle King is a Hamlet story. It's kind of like about this professor and his really hot PhD students, and they end up on this remote kind of time-displaced island that has dinosaurs in it. Actually, it doesn't have dinosaurs. It has Pleistocene era animals plus some dinosaurs here and there. So pretty cool. Actually, it was pretty awesome. It's pretty interesting. However, just the way that it manages to set up the kind of harem element was not the best for me. Everything else was good. I like the characters, although I feel that there's too many female characters introduced, with very minimal kind of like effort put into making them each distinct. Besides their names, most of them are like blonde characters. So it's like, oh, Martha the blonde chick and Maureen the blonde chick, and it's like, okay, I don't really know the difference between the two, especially with their names being so similar and stuff like that. So I feel like there was a kind of a negative in that sense, but otherwise it's pretty good. Like, I really enjoy the writing style, and the character of the professor is good, but the way that it balances out the harem elements are not the best. So we'll see if I continue reading it. I got the whole omnibus of all 3 volumes for like $1, so it's not like I would hate it if I dropped it, but I'm probably not going to. I just need to kind of push through and kind of get used to it, and maybe actually read it again and try to pay attention to the characters this time, to see if I manage to keep them separate in my head, right? So, yeah. In terms of physical stuff, though, these are going to be out of order, but I don't care right now. So, here's Ogami-san, Can't Keep It In. This is pretty funny. It's like Komi, if she was like the girl from Dragon Pilot, plus a pervert. So, the girl from Dragon Pilot, I think her name is, what's it called? Something, Chitose and Mazotan or something? I can't remember her. But the girl from Dragon Pilot is basically like a Kobeni girl fail kind of character. And that's basically what Ogami-san is, right? So she's this girl that went to high school and she wanted to reinvent herself, make herself different, but she didn't manage to get away from her shy disposition. And the reason she's shy is because in middle school she had this issue where people found out that she was kind of really perverted, more so than, you know, your average teenage girl, I guess, which I don't know, I guess is very perverted. And she got found out, so she tried to lean into it, and then realized that people weren't laughing with her, they were laughing at her. And so she's kind of like traumatized by it, right? But she ends up meeting this guy, and this guy has this quirk to him that allows him, or that makes people that touch him say what they're thinking at the moment. And so she gets outed as a pervert again to this guy, and she's afraid, but this guy's like, well, I don't have any friends, and I think you're nice, so let's be friends. And so they become friends, and so now they're on this kind of like Komi-esque adventure to find more friends, and it's pretty fun. I like it, but I don't think that the price, $13, or the size is my favorite, and I don't really find myself super attached to any of the characters. I like the girl fail characters quite a bit. I like Kobeni, and I like the girl from Dragon Pilot. But Ogami-san isn't really like properly a girl fail character, I guess, or she isn't really like that bad, or that kind of like sad. So I like her well enough, but I'm not really connecting with any of the other characters, and that kind of sucks, right? But it is what it is. I'll probably give it another 1 or 2 volumes to really decide if I want to keep reading it or not. But right now, I'm kind of like iffy on it. I liked it. I thought the art style was nice, but it wasn't good enough to really push me to get more of it. Especially because like 7 Seas has like 3 other like what's it called, like shy girl and shy guy character stories, and I read like 3 of them. So there's other things that fill the same niche that I like the gimmick for better than this one, so I'll probably end up not collecting this for a while, right? So it is what it is, but it's pretty fun. I'll do a proper review for it here soon. Then I read Witch Hat Atelier Kitchen. This is a cooking manga companion to the Witch Hat Atelier series. It's pretty good. The art style is very slightly different from the actual Witch Hat Atelier, but it's so minimal that it's actually not really all that noticeable, except for very specific occasions. And I actually really enjoyed this. It's basically a recipe book kind of story where you basically have a chapter start. The chapter focuses on either orologio or key-free, and a situation that they find themselves in. And so the situation leads to them having to cook something, and they show you and talk about why they're cooking the thing that they're cooking, what it kind of reminds them of, that sort of like, kind of like when you read a recipe and you kind of have to skip through all of the stupid text to get to the recipe, like online. It basically shows you the stupid text that you skip. However, because it's a fantasy story, it's pretty interesting and exciting and enjoyable to read, right? So if you like things like Drifting Dragons or Delicious in Dungeon, you'll probably enjoy this because it's basically the same kind of idea, but it has the added benefit of having like a story that doesn't actually focus on cooking. So this manages to be all about cooking, and it doesn't have to balance both things, right? So to me, I find that to be a plus. To some people, it might be a negative because they might want it to be interwoven into the normal story. But like, out of the 3 of them, right? Witch Hat Atelier plus Witch Hat Atelier Kitchen, and then Drifting Dragons, and then Delicious in Dungeon, I think the only one that really manages to do the interconnectedness well is Drifting Dragons, because now I don't actually like Delicious in Dungeon all that much. I find it to be like boring, because the stories that aren't about cooking are kind of boring in comparison to the stuff about cooking, and so it makes the story kind of less interesting overall. However, Witch Hat Atelier is a wonderful story, and the fact that now we have an additional cooking aspect to it is nice, because it doesn't affect the story negatively by making it kind of boring so that you can get to the cooking parts, right? Like Delicious in Dungeon. So I really enjoy this aspect where you can have both without having to interfere with each other a lot more than the other more natural style of like combining them, right? So I don't know if that made any sense, but it made sense to me. So that's what matters. But yeah, if you like Drifting Dragons, you should check out Witch Hat Atelier Kitchen. It's pretty good. We have Pluto by Naoki Urasawa, and kind of taking in Tezuka's plotline and kind of remastering it, right? So overall, I really enjoy Naoki Urasawa's art style, and I really enjoy his like detective vibes, and I really like this. However, because I don't know the source material, I'm not sure if this is a good adaptation or a good remastering of the story. I just know that I find that a lot of the stuff here to be really interesting, but kind of rather slow going, if that makes sense. Like, there's only 8 volumes here, and I don't know that there's been any progress in the story yet. Like, there has been, obviously, because there has to be, but it's mostly still really just showing off the characters. And with eight volumes, I'm not really sure that I should have spent so long doing that. So, I don't know if that makes sense. But I did have a lot of fun reading this. I really enjoyed it. There's some really great moments here between robots and humans that I really liked. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Blade Runner. It reminds me a lot of Adam, of course, because Adam, the beginning, is a retelling and remastering and also prequel series to the original Astro Boy. And so a lot of things are pretty similar here to how Pluto feels. But I like Adam a little bit more because I connect with the characters more. With Pluto, I haven't found a character I connect with yet. I'm only sure that I know that I like the story. So that kind of makes sense. I really also like the artwork, but I don't know. I'm always kind of nebulously interested in Naoki Urasawa works, and this one happens to be kind of the same. So yeah, then we have Tsugumi Project number 3. I really enjoyed the art style, and I really enjoyed the story, but there was a lot of stuff happening here that was weird. Like, so there's these sentient gorilla people that talk to Leon, and I'm not really sure what the point of that was. And then there's Tsugumi, of course, acting jealous of the gorilla person, so that was kind of weird. And then there was this like traveling merchant character. I don't know if they were human or not, and that's also weird. And mostly, I just feel like there's a lot of mystery, and there's no payoff on any of that mystery yet. And so I'm kind of concerned that I'm going to start losing interest here, because it's kind of weird. But it is still pretty cool. So I don't know. Every time I finish reading one of these volumes, I'm like, that was awesome, but maybe I don't need to buy the next one. And that's kind of not a great kind of feeling to have, right? Especially when you're trying to build up a collection. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting to know kind of how I feel about these later on, especially because if I had done this conversation immediately after reading all of these, my thoughts would have been a lot more positive. But because I've had like basically a week to think about these and kind of forget some of the better aspects and kind of remember some of the worst ones, I do end up being a little bit more negative than I would be normally, right? So take what I say with a grain of salt, but also be aware that these are more kind of what's it called? Like there's less recency bias in this review than maybe some of my other ones, right? So if decide how you feel about that yourself, right? So yeah, then I read Invincible Ultimate Collection 2, which is basically the second arc of the story, which is pretty good. This is pretty interesting because these arcs aren't really clearly defined as separate storylines. They're kind of more like thematic. And technically, the story doesn't have arcs, but fans organized it into arcs, which is one of the things that I've shown you guys before. But this one is kind of like the introduction to the multiverse arc, which happens a lot faster than I thought it did. Because a lot of stuff that's still covered here is still part of the first season, and I just wasn't aware of that when I reviewed the first Ultimate Collection. But also, a lot of stuff here is from the first episode of Season 2. And so, it's pretty interesting. I actually quite liked it a lot. I really enjoy Invincible. There were some bits here that I felt were a little bit sloggy. They were a little bit too text-heavy in a way that I wasn't really sure that I cared. Like this part here with Amber and one of her friends talking. I'm like, that is too many words that don't really matter at the end of the day, because Adam Eve is the superior character to pick as a relationship for Mark. And honestly, for anyone in this situation, I feel like Adam Eve, someone that understands superheroing and someone that actually knows him from the beginning of his superhero work, is significantly better as a partner than someone like Amber. Even though Amber is actually a much better character in the comic book than in the show, I feel like the debate of it is kind of superfluous. Looking back on it now, based on like my knowledge of where the story goes, right? So, yeah, I feel like if you didn't know anything about Invincible and you got around to this point, especially to that page that I showed you where the girls are talking and, you know, Amber's like deciding, should I stay with Mark or not? I don't know anything about him. I don't know why he disappears. And, you know, all of the issues that Mark has with Amber and being like, yeah, I was gone for a month, but I was saving people, so you can't be mad at me. But also, I understand that you are, so how do we deal with this, right? Like, all of those issues, if you didn't know anything about Invincible, I feel like you would probably be really interested in it. And I was pretty interested in it myself, but because I know that, you know, Adam Eve and Mark Grayson are like the one true pairing of the story, I find a lot of this to be kind of like, okay, I get it. I'm interested in the teenage drama of it all, but kind of get over it quicker because I don't really care too much about it, right? So, yeah, but the Amber character is pretty good. I actually really like her a lot. I feel bad for her because she doesn't really end up with the guy that she wanted, right? But also, she has a lot of problems with him and the reality of, like, dating a superhero, right? So, it's better that they kind of break up. They haven't done so yet, actually, in the story. But it is coming. I'm sure it is, because the end game for sure is Adam Eve and Invincible, right? So, I also read Invincible Ultimate Collection 3. This is the first half of the third arc of the story. And this continues stuff like that. It also kind of starts the Viltrumite arc as well, kind of the start of the, basically the invasion of Earth. And it doesn't actually happen on Earth yet. Mark actually ends up going to space and fighting some Viltrumites there. And I really enjoyed this one. This was all new content, stuff that I didn't know from before. Or maybe there was a little bit of stuff that I knew from before, but really, really small amounts. And everything that I saw here was awesome. It was really phenomenal. There was this really awesome splash page of just like Mark getting beat to shit by two Viltrumites, and it was awesome. I really, really enjoyed it. It was so good. So that stuff was awesome. And then finally, we have Once and Future. Omnibus 1, I guess, or Ultimate Collection 1, Deluxe Edition, Book 1 of 2. And I love this story. This is so awesome. This is a King Arthur retelling that is really, really good. It's kind of more like Inkart or Once Upon a Time or something like that. Like, it's one of those things where stories come alive and we have to patrol them so that they don't become a problem. And you follow this family, or actually this guy who is the last member of that family, who finally learns the family trade or the family secret, and now has to deal with all of these repercussions of the fact that King Arthur is somehow coming back to the world, right? And so it turns out that they're actually bad, and King Arthur is not actually going to save Britain; it's actually going to doom it. And so this guy has to step up, and his mentor is his grandmother, who is this rockety, crotchety old lady that I love so much. And his like side character, his like kind of girl in the chair, is this girl that he started on a date with, that it ended up badly, but then because of the situation that he finds himself in, he needs her help, and they end up entangled romantically. And then there's so many things that happen here that are so good. Dan Mora draws this, Karen Gillan does the writing here, and everything is phenomenal. The colors here are also amazing. So yeah, there's only one issue with this, and it's I think that some of the glue became undone on this book. I'm not really sure why. I was pretty careful with how I was holding it, but I wasn't resting this on anything. I was just kind of holding it like this, right, while I was reading. And so I feel like even though everything is sewn together, so it's not going to come apart, there's definitely some issues with the glue here, especially in this kind of middle section here. If you guys can see that, it kind of came off. And I don't know if that's bad or not, or that's just kind of like something that happens to the book, because I don't have very much experience with hardcover collected editions of comic books, right? So let me know down below if that's a problem or not. Something I should look into fixing. I don't really think so. It doesn't seem like it's going to be an issue, especially because now that I've read this, I probably won't open it for another couple years, or very often. If I do open it again, it's just to look at the artwork, which I might do pretty often, actually. It's, like, phenomenal. Like, Dan Mora and Tamara Bonvillain, like, their work together is amazing. Like, it's actually crazy how good it is, right? So, yeah, let me know if that's bad. But that's basically everything I read and watched in my update for 2024, all wrapped into one. So thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you guys for having the patience with me. I hope that I'll make shorter videos this year, but I don't think I'll be able to hold to that resolution because this was already 32 minutes long, even though I thought it was going to be like 15, right? So thank you guys very much for watching, and see you guys later.